With everything going on with video games and ownership right now, I wanted to talk a bit about physical and digital ownership because I think the way it's being presented and the way that a lot of people are thinking about it or understanding it is just plain wrong. I think it's dishonest, I think it's manipulative, and I think people are falling into a trap of thinking about it in the exact opposite way that would help them. The differences between physical and digital media, and here I'm talking specifically about discs and downloads, when it comes to copies of creative works, those differences are massively overblown from a conceptual standpoint and just a practical functional standpoint. And the way everyone's talking about it, it makes me think that a lot of people don't understand how these things work and that companies are intentionally misleading their audiences, their customers, because setting these things up as entirely different types of things is beneficial to the bottom line. When it comes to always online games and like MMOs, I'm not talking about that. That is a completely different topic. I don't have experience in that, so that is being left out of the conversation for now. And there's a human element to all this that isn't being discussed because I think a lot of people either don't know how to articulate it or they haven't even noticed it. And this has to do with the broad concept of ownership. Ownership is a stabilizing feature of civilization. It is good for people to own things. It is one of the few concepts that actually helps people feel a sense of power and permanence in their lives. So when governments undermine this concept of ownership, you get socioeconomic instability at an individual level, and you get mass demoralization of the population, leading to mental illness and emotional turmoil. You get unhappy people because they have no sense of security in their lives. The basic foundational concept of ownership provides that security. It provides stability, permanence, power. At an individual level, the concept of ownership is one of the most important things for any society to have. That is what a lot of people, especially politicians, are not recognizing. It is not just a matter of consumer rights, it is a matter of citizen well-being. And even if people can't put that into words, or if they don't understand that bigger picture, I wonder why so many people are so passionate about this issue. So now, at the individual level, we understand why ownership is so important. Now let's get into physical and digital ownership. I can buy an Elden Ring disc, I can buy a PS5, I can take those things home, and I can play this game in its entirety. No issues, no interference by the company, no permission I have to seek, nothing that is taking this game away from me externally by the company that sold it to me. That is physical ownership. That is the benefit of it. How do I know that this works? Because I've done it. If I am able to buy a disc, I'm able to buy a device, I can play my entire game without the company annoying me or getting in my way of enjoying this product. That is what I want. That is my standard. Now, there are issues even with physical media, but we're not going to talk about them right now because that's an entirely different topic and a worthwhile one. For now, we're going to focus on the basics. With physical media, there is the possibility that you can just buy your game, buy your device, and play it all the way through. With digital copies, I can purchase a game, put it on a device, and again, I can play that game all the way through. No interference, no annoyance, no company trying to get its little fingers into my game and interfere with my enjoyment. This is the exact same thing from a functional standpoint. Digital copies of creative works can function exactly the same way as physical ones. The difference is the lie. Digital copies should be protected the same as physical copies. Forget all the legal, linguistic, pseudo-intellectual bullshit that keeps getting piled on top of this concept of ownership. Go back to practical, pragmatic, functional reality. It is the same thing. You are purchasing a copy of a creative work in space and time, and the company is not able to interfere with that. That is the standard of ownership for creative products. The enjoyment rights of the customers. You give them your money and you get your game. Go back to that idea of permanence. When you purchase a copy of your favorite movie, your favorite TV show, your favorite video game, you know what you're getting. You expect all of the scenes to be in there. You expect the same music. You expect the same experience, the exact same experience as what you had before. If I want to replay a video game from my childhood all the way through, I want to see it exactly as it was all the way through. This isn't talking about remakes or where they do huge updates or they refurbish the entire game and give you a new experience, whether it's better or worse. This is about that thing you remember being the same. Audiovisual recordings are some of the only things that provide that permanence in society. It's one of the reasons that people crave them so much. A counterexample would be going to a theatrical play. Every time you go to see a play, it's going to have different actors. They're going to have an off night, a good night. Every time you go to see a play, it's a different experience. That's one of the reasons that some people like it. You don't get the permanence with live performances or with creative materials that change. If I have an Elden Ring disc, I don't have to worry that the music license is going to expire or that the next time I play it, every female character is going to be turned into a bowl of fruit. The only reason that this type of media was secure and permanent and provided that same experience over time was because companies couldn't affect it. Which is not always the case today. Again, topic for another video. When it comes to digital media, it can function the exact same way, where if you have your game, you download it, you put it on a device, you have it. You don't have to worry about losing the music because of a license expiration. You don't have to worry about characters being censored. The only reason digital media is at risk of being changed, being affected by the company that sold it to you, is because they can. A company's not allowed to come into your home, take your game, make changes to your disc, and put it back on your shelf, but they can absolutely make changes to something that they have permission to access. And if we are moving towards a fully digitized future where pretty much all media is digital, why are we letting the precedent be this new digital media can be affected, so that's what's normal, and not protecting the idea of this copy of a creative work in its entirety is sold to a customer and should be enjoyed whenever that customer wants? Why are we letting the digital precedent overtake the physical one? I've got a really stupid example for how people are thinking about things in the opposite way that they should. NFTs. I know, stick with me because I know nobody wants to think about this because of how stupid it is, but it is actually evidence of how digital and physical media are not that different. The problem is the comparison games that have been set up within public consciousness are actually preventing people from seeing this issue clearly. Now, what I'm talking about is specifically, I buy an NFT, I have it on my screen, I can look at it, somebody else pulls up an image of it, and they take a screenshot. So I have that thing, and now they have that thing. We both have that thing. Replication does not infringe on ownership. That is the key that is being misunderstood here. If you have something and someone else copies it, they are not taking it away from you. Replication does not impact ownership. That is the missing piece for a lot of people. It's what they are not recognizing in this comparison. But that is the most important point. You can have a classical traditional painting hanging up in your home. Someone else can make a forgery of it, an exact forgery, an amazing replica, and you still own the original. Your ownership is not infringed upon by how many copies are made of it. This is a similarity between physical and digital media, not a difference. This is an illusion of the digital age because people couldn't conceptualize them and compare them accurately. Whether you're spending hours making a forgery or a split second taking a screenshot, replication does not negate ownership. It might have some financial implications, but it's not taking anything away from you. And if we are moving into a fully digitized age where pretty much every copy of a creative piece of media is digital, why are we not protecting them the same way as physical media? This is going to be a recurring theme for a lot of the different topics I talk about, but nothing happens in your country without your government's permission, negligence, or ignorance. And if a lot of people are talking about something online, they can't claim ignorance. Physical and digital media should both be protected. They should involve the same consumer rights to enjoyment of a product. And we should not be lowering our standards just because companies can affect their digital products. And if companies can affect digital products and interfere with the customer experience, maybe they shouldn't be allowed to. We already have the industry precedent with sites like GOG, where you download a game and you have it, and the company can't mess with it. Same as a disc. But let's just say, for the sake of argument, that sites like GOG don't count. You don't think they're good examples. You think there are too many problems with digital ownership and that it's actually impossible to own a digital copy of a creative work. Fine. Well, then I guess the closest thing to true digital ownership would be piracy. That's interesting, because it would mean true digital ownership is in fact possible. Governments have just made it illegal. I wonder, if the problem is the laws written by governments, what could the solution possibly be? Looking towards the future of the gaming industry, I'm someone who likes solo offline gaming and the permanence of having a copy that doesn't change. I don't like companies interfering with my experience or the permanence of their games. And if I can't find any products that fit those criteria, I'm not going to be spending any money. I'm not interested in giving up what I like about games. I'm someone who can replay the same game like 100 times, doing different challenges, using different strategies, approaching a game from a completely new angle. I find that fun. So if there aren't any new games coming out that fit my criteria, that meet my minimum standards, I won't be playing any new games. I'd rather go back and rediscover something that was created 20 years ago that somehow holds up. I'm someone who understands the importance of ownership, the importance of having permanently frozen in time audio-visual creative products. This is not just from a business or a customer standpoint. This is from an individual well-being standpoint. I'm not willing to give that up. Whether you like physical discs or digital downloads, your consumer rights should be being protected by the leaders of your country, who are supposed to be protecting your well-being as a citizen. And if the people in power in your country aren't protecting your rights as a citizen, maybe they shouldn't be in power in the first place. And just for a moment, think about the broader implications of ownership debates. You know what's more effective than giving your populace bread and circuses? Threatening to take away those bread and circuses if they don't do what you want. Big picture, this is a tool of social control. And playing into it is what allows that control mechanism to work. Good thing this is only happening in terms of video games, huh? Bye.